It's finally here. Final Cut Pro for iPad. So if you recall, about a month and a half ago, I did a video on DaVinci Resolve for iPad because that was pretty big back when it came out. DaVinci Resolve is an extremely powerful color program, and they finally brought it to iPad, but when they released it, it was kind of lacking on features. It didn't exactly have a fully done editing tab, and they were still adding a lot to it. Now, I'm wondering if Final Cut Pro will be fully developed and fully announced whenever we download it here today. So, Final Cut Pro has been a highly requested app for iPad for the longest time ever. And what's interesting is right before WWDC, they decided to announce it, which is making us all think that maybe they have something bigger planned for WWDC, but we'll find out. So today we're going to be taking a look into Final Cut Pro. I'm wondering if it's anything like it is on Mac OS. Now, I did hear that as soon as you get in, you're going to be greeted with a monthly subscription, which is, well, it sucks. With Adobe products, which I currently use now, I switched over from Final Cut Pro to Adobe products. Final Cut Pro has a monthly or a yearly subscription, and it really sucks. A lot of people, including myself, just want to buy it outright, just one and done. So let's get into it. Okay, so I am trying to kind of create a different style here. When I did the DaVinci Resolve video, it didn't exactly turn out as I had wanted it to, so I decided that I'm not even going to tune the shots to where you can't see the camera. I have my phone on the DJI gimbal back there, and I have my camera on my tripod shooting right in front of me. So last time I just did a screen recording and just the camera, and it worked okay, but I figured this might give it a different angle, and I also wanted to try out the DJI tracking feature. You'll see if I move my iPad to the right this way, the phone moves with it. If I move back, it will also move with it. Okay. And you'll see that as I move my iPad to the right, the phone follows, and when I move it back, the phone follows again. So I'm interested to see how this is going to turn out. Anyway, Final Cut Pro for iPad. So scrolling down here, okay, we got a description, and it requires the iPad Pro 11-inch 4th gen or later, which is actually what this is. So this is the minimum. This is the M1 iPad, which is extremely overpowered, but we'll just have to see how it handles it. So it works well on the Mac. I'm hoping it's going to work just as well on iPad, although you know, Apple has had a lot of issues recently with their iOS, their iPad OS, even Mac OS. So kind of disappointing to see, but maybe they're starting to make up for it with WWDC coming up and Final Cut Pro for iPad. Maybe it won't be a hot mess like iOS is right now. So let's go in and download it real quick. It looks like it's 749 megabytes, not as big as I thought it was gonna be. Okay, so first launch here, I'm gonna go ahead and open it. All right, welcome to Final Cut Pro for iPad. So let's hit continue, and bam, you immediately get hit with the monthly subscription. So, okay, let's try it. At least it's only $4.99 a month. I mean, it could be like Adobe and be way more expensive than that. Not my favorite, but could be worse. You know, I don't really like the whole monthly subscription thing, but whatever, we'll still give it a try anyway. So it looks like they have a demo project here that you can download and try out first, maybe. I'll go ahead and download it, but we're not going to move into it just yet. Let's create a new project. Let's just see what options there are. So timeline settings, you have automatic and custom, which you have the same settings in the desktop version of Final Cut Pro. So let's go to custom and see. It looks like you can do a custom resolution. So up to a maximum resolution of 4096 by 4096. So it looks like you're not going to be editing 8K on here like you will be with the MacBook. You know, 4K is still a very high resolution. In fact, this video is 4K. So looks like you have up to 60 FPS, same as the desktop app. So let's set it to 4K 24 in the SDR color space, which is Rec 709, which is what I use. So let's go ahead and continue. Okay, so I do like that the import from files option is right there, not hard to see at all. Back in earlier versions of iMovie, I wish this was more of a thing. They kind of had it hidden a little bit, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but I do like that they have it now. So I'm gonna go ahead and import from files, and I'm gonna find some things that I want to import. I'm going to go over to my server, and I'll find some videos that I've edited previously, bring them into the Final Cut Pro on iPad, and see how it works. Okay, so after a quick transfer of a bunch of videos, I decided to pull some videos from my earlier tutorial that I did a while back, of when I made a tutorial on how to use iMessage on PC using the AirMessage application. Not all of them wanted to transfer for whatever reason. Sometimes sometimes my iPad has issues with my server. Not exactly sure why, but this will get us a few gigabytes of videos to start with. So heading back to Final Cut Pro, I'm now going to go to the FCP folder that I just made and select the videos that I do have and then hit open. Okay, so now we're brought to our main editing panel. So it looks like we have a project bin up here. So this has all of our project media in it, 8 items, 7.62 gigs, cool. It looks like we have an options button down here. Oh, okay, so you do get snapping, that's nice. Appearance, oh, okay, so looks like they give you a little bit of customization here and there. Alright, well, let's just start dragging stuff on and see what we can do. So, okay, so we hit the select button and then drag multiple clips right onto the timeline. And then that will bring us to our timeline. Now we should be able to use the Apple Pencil with it too, which is nice. So it looks like right off the bat it's playing fine. This is 4K 24 FPS video at 100 megabits per second. So it doesn't seem to really be struggling or anything there. It does look like they give you like this nice little precise frame by frame scrolling option, which is kind of cool. It's good to note. And then looks like you can kind of just drag it wherever. So let's figure out how to make some basic cuts. Let's say I want to cut from here to here. So let's go back to the beginning. I'm assuming it's that button. It is. And then we'll cut to here. Click the end. Now there is still the famous option to just drag it at the beginning and the end, which is still nice to see. And okay, so now this is interesting. This is actually related to the video that I'm currently doing, the Final Cut Pro video. So it looks like they have a multicam button. So move the playhead over a multicam clip in the timeline to view and switch angles. I feel like this is needed in Adobe. I just wanted to quickly add that this is in fact a feature in Premiere. I just didn't know about it, but I did learn how to use it to create this video, and it's awesome. I love it, and I will probably never go back. And then you have animate. So it looks like opacity, scale. Oh, okay, so just like in Premiere, it looks like you have your basic keyframes that you can kind of set and create a keyframe, and then go forward, create another keyframe, and then you can adjust your settings from there. The same inspect menu is still there from the desktop app. So right off the bat, just kind of looking at this in perspective here, it does look like they've, put some time into this, put some effort into this, and it does look like it has a lot of the features that the actual desktop version does. Obviously, it's missing a couple things, but it was just released yesterday. They're gonna update it. They're gonna improve things. They're gonna add more things. So for now, I mean, this seems pretty good so far. And you still have your blend modes so that you can overlay things on top, color conversion, so you can, oh nice, okay, they have a couple standard stock converting settings, and then I'm wondering if I can add LUTs or do any kind of color grading with this. Obviously there's the transform tab, our audio tab. Looks like they do have voice isolation. I'm kind of wondering what that would sound like on a noisy video. They have a dedicated noise removal option. That is nice to see. That is something that Premiere does not have. I mean, they do have a denoise option, but it doesn't work very well and you have to really adjust it. So it's kind of nice to just see it in the audio tab there and not have to drag an effect on every single time I want to use it. There's a preset fade in and fade out tab. That's nice. And then going to our effects tab over here, we can add on video effects. So it looks like they have masks, keying, color adjustments. Okay, so the color adjustments seems to be like the very basics. Warmth, tint, exposure, contrast, brightness. So you're really not going to do too much there, just kind of a couple overall adjustments with the whole clip itself. Looks like you still have all the effects from Final Cut Pro, so that's nice. Okay, so now let's throw another video on here. I know I did throw multiple clips on. Looks like we can just kind of zoom in and out of the timeline here. Doesn't look like we can go very far though. Whenever we're zooming out. I did have multiple clips on here, but whenever I cut this clip, I must have had everything selected. Let's drag a new one on here. Let's bring it closer. Oh, that is as close as it goes. Okay, let's make our basic cut with this one. Oh. Yikes. That's not looking too good. Okay, well, we'll just ignore that. We'll use my little frame selector here so that I can go and make a precise cut. And then I'll use that cut button that we saw earlier down in the bottom right, if it pops up. Okay, there we go. Oh, okay, I was in the wrong, okay. So when you're in the animate tab, it doesn't look like you can zoom out very far. You can only zoom out in the timeline for about 30 seconds. Whenever you exit that, you can pretty much go the full way here. Okay, so let's bring this in. I do kind of hate that little playhead thing is like in the way. I don't know if there's a way to remove that or not. Kind of get it out of here, get it out of the way. I could just keep having to drag it around. I'll just kind of throw it up here for now. So make our cut, place fine. Cool, good. Now let's look at some of the tabs that are up here. So, okay, so this looks like this is going to be your actual effect tab. Now I'm wondering if color adjustments is any different than what we were messing with before. Now it doesn't look like it. Looks like it's the same effect. So you can add effects from the inspection panel, or you can go over to this effect panel up here for like more dedicated effects, I guess. Then there's your transitions, and I don't know if there's a way that you can maybe add more, because in the Files app, it's kind of restricted of where you can go on an Apple device. So I'm wondering if there's a way that you can add like Final Cut Pro packs and stuff that you find online into the Final Cut Pro for iPad. And then there's your titles, so we can drag some text on, kind of put it wherever. Maybe use the inspect panel, give it some, that thing's in the way again. Give it some fade in and fade out using their built-in little fade tab here. Okay, so I'll try to make it match here. It's a little hard with the Apple Pencil not being on a surface. Okay, nice. We have our little fade. Backgrounds, okay. Then you have objects. Oh, there is now a, wow, it's been a while since I've used Final Cut Pro. They've never had a counting thing before. I could have used this about a year ago, but there's a time code there, a basic shape, and then like a thumbs up, a YouTube button. Now that's interesting. They have both a YouTube button and a bell button. It's not exact, probably for copyright reasons, but that is interesting to see that they included that. I guess most people are probably using this for, you know, social media. I would imagine that you're not paying $5 a month for Final Cut Pro just to do some personal home videos. And then they do include some soundtracks here. Now iMovie did include these as well. I'm wondering if these ones are maybe different. So we'll download one, we'll play it. I don't understand how we're supposed to like scroll through this in this window here. There's no way for me to like, yeah, see that? I don't know. I do like that it gives you an adjustable size here so that you can kind of adjust how big you want your timeline to be. That is nice to see. And then, what is this, append button? Append to story. Oh, okay, so it just adds it onto the storyline. Okay, well, we'll throw this music under it, and maybe we'll figure out how to change the volume here. Oh, okay, there's a nice little volume slider on the side, so maybe we'll go down like 9.3 decibels, and we'll see kind of where we're at on our meter over here. Maybe up a little bit more. Now, that's going to be it for that tab. Oh, okay, so this button up here gets rid of that marker over here. So there is a way to kind of make that fade in, fade out go away. On the three dots up here, there's a Final Cut Pro user guide, which just takes you to the website, which I think mostly everybody's already kind of seen this. Okay, so table of contents. Okay, so this is your basic Apple user guide. That's nice to have, especially when same program, different platform, things are moved around. Okay, this button up here is going to be our export button. Final Cut Pro for iPad project. So they're specifying for iPad. So I'm wondering if maybe these aren't, you can't take your Final Cut Pro projects from your iPad to your Mac, but I don't know, that's something I'd have to try. I don't know how it does it, if it's a library, if it's a separate project file. There is still the current frame option for exporting. You could do audio only or video, and then there's this new little tab up here for marking up things, so maybe I wanted to circle Safari on my screen with my Apple Pencil. Then I can hit done, and it looks like that drawing stays there for as long as I want it to. So they consider it a live drawing. So it goes right on the timeline, not as an effect, but as an actual element to your timeline. So I'm going to go ahead and make that basic cut, kind of shorten that up a little bit, and then we do get some zoom on the side here, so we can kind of go in if we need to look at something a little bit more specifically. Now, that is a little glitchy. That looks like 24 FPS right there. Not the best, but not the worst thing either. So then we'll go back to zoom to 33%, 25. Guess we'll just use our fingers here, make it kind of exact as we can get. Viewer background, so Apparently they give you some different options here. And now this is something that I like to see, in that there is a playback tab and you can choose whether you want the best performance or the best quality. That is something that I like to see because eventually these iPads are going to get a little outdated. Video is going to get a little bit more intense, especially with the way that iPhone cameras are excelling now. I mean, think the 14 Pro Max records ProRes and now multiple gigabytes per minute back when I had the 14 Pro Max for about a week. So that was pretty crazy. You know, you can do some serious stuff with that. Getting out of this menu here, let's kind of see what this button does. Okay, so this is if you want to add kind of, oh, this is interesting. This is something that Apple has absolutely never done before. Okay, now hold on, this is changing the game here a little bit. Normally, we're used to the regular camera app with absolutely no Pro Mode features at all. Like, for example, Samsung has a dedicated Pro Mode in their camera app, but this has absolutely no features at all. But the camera app has absolutely no features at all on Apple devices. So, right here, it gives you the option for autofocus or manual focus. Not sure why you'd want to use an iPad camera to record anyway, but you do get that option, and you can manually adjust your focus, which is something that I've never seen before. So you get your ultra-wide camera and your 1x camera, that's pretty basic. Then you have a little settings button down here, so this allows you to change some stuff kind of built in, 720p, 1080p, 4K. It does have a little reference guide right here that shows how many megabytes it's going to use per minute, which is nice. Normally that's only in settings, so it gives you a couple tools. This is kind of basic. We've had this in the app for a while. And then your audio, so it looks like you can connect maybe a Bluetooth microphone or a Type-C microphone. We're just going to close out of that. Now, of course, you get your focus here. No brightness slider. I'm assuming that's probably somewhere over here. So you get your basic exposure control. Oh my, that was bright. This goes a little further than I believe the actual camera app does. Let's take a look at that. So coming into the camera app here, I actually don't have an exposure option on here at all. So I've never seen Apple devices have up to boosting it by 6 or taking it down by 6, so that's something that's a little bit new to me. You can manually adjust your white balance. Now I'm thinking this is probably a hint to something that we're going to see in WWDC. If we're doing this in the Final Cut Pro app, then what's going to come to iOS 17? Are we going to be able to have manual features for once? And then you have your slow-mo tab over here, so it looks like you can choose your frame rate, your resolution, 720 or HD. And you still do get that manual focus in the slow-mo, so that's kind of nice to see. But in an effort to make this video kind of, not really, still kind of small, I can always do a part 2 if it's requested. We're just going to export this and see what it's like. So we're going to export, or no, that was import. That was not export. Okay, export video. So now we're at our export tab. So we're going to include both video and audio, 4K. 24 FPS, 2 minutes and 43 seconds is how long this is. No, wait. The video is 57 seconds long, so I'm not sure what that is right there. Timeline settings 243, I don't know. Preset, default, high quality, smaller file size, or social media platforms. So that's interesting. This preset is best for social platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So for me, I'm going to choose the highest quality because I want to kind of see how long it takes here if the iPad starts heating up at all. Right now, it is slightly warm, but I do have the display at full brightness and it's 1600 nits, so, But color space, Rec 709, that's all normal. File type, so we don't actually really get an option here for what kind of file type we want to use. Unless we select either smaller file size or social platforms, we do get an MP4 option, which is something that we've never had before, but I would have liked to have seen that feature in the high quality preset. So we're just going to keep our video codec at, actually no, we're going to change it to H.264, that's what I use the most. Wow, you go down to 540p on your resolution. So we're just going to export it the way it is. Okay, so keep Final Cut Pro open until the export is complete. So that would be a difference between the desktop app and the mobile app, obviously, is that you can't leave the Final Cut Pro app when you're exporting something, which is something that we've seen in iMovie on iOS devices, iPad devices, and stuff before. So this export looks like it's going relatively quick. Now, of course, this video is only about 60-ish seconds, a little under that, maybe 50-something, I forget quite what it was, but, and there's not a whole bunch of effects on it or anything, but this is decently fast. Really, I only had one issue with one thing in here, so that's not bad. I am excited to kind of explore this 1-month free trial a little bit, and kind of just see, like, what it's like, you know, and I really do think that companies are starting to open up to more options for mobile editing. You know, recently, not exactly like recent, but within the past year, CapCut, the popular TikTok editing program, has become huge on iPad and iPhone, and I think that maybe Apple kind of wanted to combat that a little bit with Final Cut Pro. Obviously, they would rather have the money. So I think this is definitely a competition, even though CapCut is looked at as such like a kid's editing app. I have explored it, and really there's a lot of features in there that Premiere has, and they have more kind of, you know, things like templates and stuff like that that you just don't get with Adobe products. So it is interesting to see where CapCut is going with it. I think that really what we have here is the start of something new. I said this in the DaVinci Resolve video as well. I think that, you know, this is really just going to encourage people to start kind of leaning towards iPads. You know, maybe Mac OS isn't the only option for people who are on a budget. Okay, so now that the video is done exporting, looks like, okay, so it tells us the file size, 204.2 megabytes, and then we have save video, which is classic. That'll just save it to the Photos app, or we can save the files. So let's go to save the files, and save it in that FCP folder that I made. Okay, so now let's go back to the Files app and see timeline 1. Okay. The biggest thing that I think most people won't have is the Mac Mini. So we have our music in the background, my voice, the two videos, the little title with our fade in and fade out, the drawing. Oh, okay, that's nice. So when they say live drawing, it's actually kind of animated if I zoom in there. As I drew it, so it must have been playing and I didn't notice when I was drawing. So the live drawing feature must mean that I can kind of go through and make marks throughout, meaning that as I'm talking, as the video's going, I can make animated drawings, which is nice. That gives another, you know, reason to use the Apple Pencil. So overall, first impressions of Final Cut Pro for the iPad, I am definitely impressed, although we have seen this with DaVinci Resolve before. It does look like that it's mostly fully featured, relatively fully featured anyway, so I can't wait to play around with this a little bit more, kind of, you know, dive in. Let me know if anybody wants kind of a part 2 to this. I know this is a little bit long, and I apologize for that, but there is a lot to go over, especially in an app that's this big. I believe the Mac user manual for the Final Cut Pro version on there is almost 1,000 pages. So there's a lot of things that you can do. There's a lot to explore in the video world. And thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.